What's going on, guys? Merry Christmas. This is the part two of the TowerNumberNine Christmas special, where I am releasing pre-recorded videos with the so-called Christmas Leia, red and green aggression Leia, on Christmas Eve and Christmas. So I had part one yesterday on Christmas Eve, and part two, if the YouTube automatic uploading thing, should be live on Christmas Day. So this time I am the one playing the Christmas Leia, and I'm playing against a aggression Han build from Krypto. I'm going to lead off with a Battlefield Marine. My opponent plays Leia Organa Defiant Princess, and then readies a resource and uses that to play Greedo. A pretty good start, quite frankly. So now we're going to move on, see how things proceed. So this start is pretty aggressive. I'm going to try and be aggressive myself. I use a fleet lieutenant to send in my battlefield marine for 5 total damage. Um, and the Greedo then swings in, defeats the battlefield marine, deals and hits the top deck to deal 2 damage to my fleet lieutenant. I take the initiative, and Leia then trades with the fleet lieutenant. So that is a pretty strong start for my opponent, especially because they then to play the Falcon and hit my base for 3. So I'm feeling quite behind after that interaction. Let's see what we can do to try and turn around the game. So I'm going to resource this red 3 because it would be easily defeated by the Falcon. I'm going to go ahead and play the Fighters for Freedom, 3 cost 3/4 that deals 1 damage to a base when you play an aggression card. I end up my opponent switches to the Falcon. I take the initiative, and luckily for me, it seems like my opponent missed their play that turn because there isn't anything else jumping in to the arena, and so that might allow me to make up for the ground that I lost on turn 2. Let's see how this goes. So I have the Fighters for Freedom. My opponent has the Falcon, and I'm thinking about my next move. One thing I could do here is go for the Star Wing Scout. I could try to do Leia Voltron. I could do like Wing Leader plus the Academy training plus the medal ceremony, just piling buffs onto Leia. But that seems risky because my opponent is playing yellow, which has a lot of like disruption, like, exhaust type effects and so on, which could prevent that from working out so well. I lead off by deploying Leia. My opponent is down 1 resource or at least 1 readied resource because of having to pay for the Falcon. Han's ability used to get an additional resource ready there. This is a common tactic with Han, allowing you to deploy him a turn early. So here, one thing that I could do is I could attack immediately, but I think I decide to Wing Leader buffing Leia first. So Wing Leader giving Leia 2 experience. If my opponent uses the Falcon to defeat the Wing Leader, I can counter the Falcon with Tarkin Town and get it off the board. Um, I can also still play my Battlefield Marine and Medal Ceremony this turn. If my opponent deploys Han, he'll be easily defeated by Leia thanks to her buffed stats. My opponent does end up deploying Han, maybe just forcing me to take that attack instead of putting pressure on the base. I have Leia defeat Han, and I use Leia's ability after her attack resolves to have the Fighters for Freedom swing in there for 3 damage as well. Leia taking 4 damage from Han. My opponent then plays Chewie. I will go ahead and play my Medal Ceremony, giving an experience to the Fighters for Freedom and an experience for Leia. My opponent has the Falcon attack the base instead of attacking the Wing Leader. The question now is, do I want to take the initiative or play the Battlefield Marine? So if I take the initiative, I can immediately have Leia attack and defeat Chewie and also have the Fighters for Freedom hit the base again, or engage the Falcon and set it up for Tarkin Town. If I play the Battlefield Marine, I have a stronger board. I end up deciding that I'd rather have the opportunity to go first this turn. My opponent does lose. My opponent accidentally removes 2 resources here. Um, I think assuming that he'd used Han's ability twice, you do have to get rid of the temporary resources it creates. So under normal circumstances, he might have gotten 2 temporary resources, one from Han's leader ability and one from his unit side. But because he was defeated without attacking, there was actually only 1. So this time I attack with Leia. She defeats Chewie, remaining alive thanks to all the experience on her. And then with my second attack, I actually have the wing leader attack into the base before the Falcon can attack it. So I still have my Fighters for Freedom standing on field. My opponent spends 6 though for a my opponent spends 6 for a change of heart, taking control of the Fighters for Freedom, and is going to be able to use them to defeat Leia, and also while also having Leia defeat the Fighters for Freedom. So that's a really good exchange for my opponent with that change of heart, and ends up putting me in less of a good spot than I was earlier. I am going to go ahead and play the Starwing Scout. My opponent will be able to take the initiative here, and indeed does so. But I have, a 4-1 and a 2-1. I'm hoping to put more pressure on. However, my opponent still has a lot of life and is probably playing a deck with a better late game than mine. The 30 HP base, while I do think Tarkentown is generally stronger, is a reasonable choice against aggro and is giving Krypto some extended time here. I would be interested to see how things proceed, but at least while my only units on the board are 1 HP, as they are presently, Tarkin Town wouldn't be very threatening, whereas the extra HP from this base is quite annoying. Okay, so Krypto has the initiative this turn, leading off with a Benthic 2 tubes. I'm going to go ahead and swing in with the Starwing Scout, inflicting 4 damage. 3 for Ezra Bridger. 2 damage to the base with my Wing Leader there. Luckily, my opponent has relatively small cards. If there were another Change of Heart, playing Change of Heart to take control of the Wing Leader, and then using it to defeat, or to take control of the Starwing Scout, and then use it to defeat the Wing Leader, and my opponent would get the draw, would be extremely annoying. I, luckily for me, have a Open Fire to defeat Ezra, and then I play out that Battlefield Marine that's been hanging around in my hand. I do have a significantly stronger board, but we'll see what happens in the late game. We are getting beyond the point at which my deck most wants to be operating. We do prefer a short game. Han Solo arrives and clears out my Battlefield Marine. Benthic 2 tubes hitting my base. My Starwing Scout hits the opponent's base. I play an Academy training, buffing my Wing Leader, and then swing in with the Wing Leader for 4. And then we're going to bring out K2SO. K2SO can be easily defeated by Han, but if he is, I'll get that 3 damage when defeated. Not doing a good job of keeping the initiative for the potential card draw with my Starwing Scout, but I do have a substantial advantage at this point. We'll see if Krypto can make the comeback somehow. A lot of resources being spent. I think it's 7 resources there. Not sure what for though. Could be another Han. Maybe we're gonna see a Mace Windu here. My opponent actually decides not to do whatever was being planned there, I think. Krypto considering the options in a bit of a desperate spot here, I think. It ends up actually just saying GG. So I was in fact able to get the win. Had some unfortunate moments, but my opponent did too. Seemed like there was a turn where they kind of took the turn off, and then additionally, or just attacked with the Falcon, wasn't able to play any new cards, and then additionally, late in the game, it seemed like they had kind of some smaller units that weren't necessarily the things they needed to take the board. Okay. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and move on to round two. First round was a win for the so-called Christmas Leia. Let's go to round two. I noticed here that when I mouse over my deck, it only has 49 cards. I'm missing a card, and we spend a little time here searching to try and find what it is. So I'm looking through my deck and I'm searching for. So I type in like Open Fire, for instance, and I see that I have all 3. I'm trying to figure out what card is missing. I look at Wing Leader, I have all 3. Starwing Scout, I have all 3. Trying to figure it out, and my opponent shows me it was a Fighters for Freedom that was taken. probably the Fighters for Freedom that my opponent used the Change of Heart on and then defeated Leia with, which was a really sweet play. Change of Heart can be very impactful in the right situation. Okay, so we're gonna move on to game two here, and we'll see how it goes. All right, Krypto is gonna lead us off this time with C3PO, and I don't recall. I don't recall. Yeah, okay. So ends up guessing one. Yeah, maybe hoping to draw R2 and then use Han's ability or something, or Greedo and use Han's ability, I guess. I go ahead and play a Green Squadron A-wing hitting the field there. So then 2 cost 1/3 with raid 2, classic aggro unit, very effective. Okay, so we're gonna move on here. My opponent spends 3 resources for the Falcon. I'm going to. So I have a few options here. One thing that I can do is just immediately attack. Another thing that I could do is play open fire to defeat the Falcon. Another thing that I could do is play the Academy training to get my unit out of range. The most aggro option here, though, is to use the Fleet Lieutenant, which is what I do. So Fleet Lieutenant goes ahead and swings in for 5. My opponent hits the A-wing with the Falcon, taking 1 damage. Accidentally puts 3 damage on, should only be 1, but it doesn't matter because I Tarkin Town the Falcon off the board anyway, and C3PO then attacks in. This is actually an opportunity where my opponent could have maybe gained some advantage by attacking with C3PO first. If I then took the initiative, he could attack my unit with the Falcon, defeat it, and then next turn withdraw it to hand to dodge the potential Tarkin Town and then replay it later. However, my opponent's attack with C3PO guesses 3 and then pulls another copy of the Falcon. So even though that first Falcon was dealt with fairly handily by Tarkin Town, there's going to be another one deploying soon, or at least potentially. I erroneously flip my resources face up instead of exhausting them. Bit of a fumble there. I play the Wing Leader to give 2 experience to my Fleet Lieutenant. C3PO swings in for 1 damage to the base and I believe, guesses 3. Actually, I said 1 on the first guess, but I think it might have been 3 actually. I'm looking at it now and it looks more like a 3 in the chat. I think I have kind of a low res view of the chat and called that incorrectly, but regardless, the first one missed, the second one hit, I believe. Okay, so then Greedo takes the field, and then the second Falcon. I've taken the initiative, and Wing Leader cleared by the second Falcon. I can, of course, defeat that second Falcon with the open fire that I have in hand or something, but it doesn't seem amazing. My opponent could also, of course, opt to withdraw the Falcon to hand. We'll have to see what happens. So this turn, one thing I could do is open fire plus Academy training. One thing that I could do is Starwing Scout plus Academy training. I could just play K2. For the time being, though, I'm going to just keep on pushing damage to the opposing base. Fleet Lieutenant swinging in for 5. The opponent sends that Falcon in for 3. I am going to. Oh yeah, I'm reminding my opponent they have to pay 1. I play Leia. Leia at 4/6 here. My opponent uses Han's ability, so Han could be deployed this turn. I could buff Leia with the Academy training, getting her in position to defeat Han when he deploys. That's exactly what I do. So Academy training for Leia, buffing her up +2/+2, so she is now a 5/8 and still has raid 1, so can swing in for 6 and defeat Han. C3PO swings in for 1 on my Fleet Lieutenant. I think poisoning Han to potentially attack and defeat that Fleet Lieutenant while remaining alive. Guesses 3 and misses the guess. C3PO is defeated by the Fleet Lieutenant. I end up deciding I'm just going to push for damage, so I have Leia swing on in. It's going to be 6 damage to the base. I am going for. I'm going to try and close out the game. That's my plan here. I'm not worried about waiting for Han. I'm worried about. So I accidentally show K2 when I meant to just play the Starwing Scout. So we'll see what happens next here. My opponent swings in with Han to defeat the fleet lieutenant while having Han remain alive. That's a pretty efficient attack. I take the initiative. My opponent does have a lot of resources and is going to spend a bunch of them on Chewie. Greedo also still has yet to attack. Could either attack Leia or could attack into the base. Ends up deciding to hit Leia, so Greedo defeated. Leia takes 3 damage. So Leia now with 5 life remaining, and looking at the top card, it is a Falcon, so no bonus damage there. If the bonus damage had hit, Leia would be reduced to 4 remaining life and could be defeated in 1 attack from Han. I see a precision fire in my hand, which is going to be potentially useful for allowing Leia to sneak past Chewbacca there and do some damage to the opposing base. I do resource and academy training. Readying up here. So I lead off that I'm going to use that precision fire to have Leia sneak on in. So that's going to be she's not a trooper, so she doesn't get the bonus damage, but ends up hitting for I believe 7 there. Opposing base down to just 2 life. The Falcon can of course attack and defeat my Starwing Scout. Um, or no, it's just 6. It's not 7. So there's 3 life remaining. That is, however, in range for K2's when defeated ability to close the game. So if I get a chance to get K2 on the field, could be pretty big. Precision fire countering that Sentinel pretty efficiently. My opponent takes the trade with the Falcon and the Wing Leader, allowing me to draw. I'm going to go ahead and deploy K2. And the best thing my opponent could have here would probably be like a waylay for K2. Something to return K2 to hand, prevent him from getting a chance to make normal attacks. Um, Han swings in for 4, readies a resource. And then creates a temporary resource rather, and then the unit Han arrives and defeats K2. I play benthic 2 tubes. I think we might have done that in the wrong order or something. And then I take the initiative, and at this point it's basically game. Yeah, Chewie swings in for 3. Or it's technically not game, actually. It's technically not game. Actually, so Chewie ends up, I think, attacking 2 tubes instead of swinging for 3. And at this point, so K2 could attack and defeat Chewie. When K2 is defeated, his damage from base would clear the enemy. But I could make a spicier play here, which is I could actually play open fire on my own K2, defeat him, and then trigger the when defeated ability to defeat the enemy base. And that is exactly what I do. Open fire on my own copy of K2SO. When defeated, I can choose to deal 3 damage to the opposing base, and I do. My opponent reveals that they had a change of heart and could have taken control of K2, which would have allowed them to do quite a bit of damage to my base. I think it would have been 10, 30. Yeah, if they had played the change of heart here, they actually would have had lethal. But because I had the first action, I was able to use the open fire on my own K2SO, trigger the when defeated ability, and win the game. So a bit of a unorthodox finale there, but you do what you got to do to get the win. So that was another victory here for Christmas Leia here on the TowerNumber9 Christmas special. Um, so I have pre-recorded this video. It is not Christmas as I am recording right now, but it is still hopefully something that's going to be fun for people and will allow me to maintain my daily gameplay video streak. I will also say, I said this again during the first part of the TowerNumber9 Christmas special. Yeah, that was if everything went well, it uploaded yesterday automatically. But this is kind of a silly way to discuss Christmas in terms of just the colors, the red and the green or whatever. But all joking aside, I do sincerely wish a Merry Christmas to all viewers and a Happy New Year in 2024, which is upcoming now and is also going to be the year where, if all goes well, Star Wars Unlimited will be released. So That's gonna do it for this one, guys. Had a victory for the so-called Christmas Leia here, which will be presented here on Christmas Day. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I will catch you later with some more Star Wars Unlimited content. I will catch you guys later.